All right, this is David Drake, the Volunteer Services Project Director, and he is the Master of Ceremonies for the rest of the. Hey, thank you. Thanks for coming out. The reason we decided to do this is primarily for the new class to get several projects in front of the new class. And also to maybe a refresher for some of the other folks. Okay.
Movie?
Okay, so what is the project? Project lines up with our mission. You've seen that more than once tonight. I think you're probably pretty familiar with that, but a project is any activity that's going to further our mission. There are some limitations out there about working on private lands and commercial institutions, but basically anything that furthers our mission, if it gets submitted, it's going to be approved. Okay, these are a handful of project-related tasks that really all of us should be fluent in executing. You ought to be able to go to our webpage. Mark does a fantastic job keeping that thing updated and working. You ought to be able to navigate through that webpage to find just about anything that comes up in our discussion. Specifically, knowing how to get to the approved project workbook. That's a workbook that contains a listing of every project that we have approved. It's broken down by county. There are probably 100 to 150 projects. Understanding how to navigate it and then what information is in the workbook, your VMS codes will be there also. That's an important part of learning what to do in your volunteer activities. You should also be able to propose a new project. And of course, you ought to be able to enter your all your hours in the VMS. So I'm not looking to take any names or anything, but just to show of hands, are there one or more bullets on there that we need to give some help with or provide some more refresher? I see some head nodding. Yeah, okay. So maybe a training guide, would a training guide suffice or more face-to-face type training? Training guide, okay. Project approval, once you've submitted a project for approval, we have a small growing volunteer services project committee made up of myself, Bob Benny, and Greg Walker. We'll give the project a once over. If it appears to line up with our mission, then that means we will get it approved and we'll get it to Christie and a new VMS code will be generated after that. From time to time, we'll take a look at the whole list of projects. You know, it's kind of a continual process as we go through the year, or if there's a request from a project leader. Some projects just don't wind up being what we initially thought they would be. Some run their course, and some are very specialized and just may not last a long time. So we'll evaluate them. If they're no longer viable, then we'll inactivate them. These are some suggested best practices. The first one is very important. A couple of years ago, we had a project in trouble, or I won't say in trouble, but the leadership, our leadership within the project and the
Rather we ate elsewhere.
I got it. This is a class.
That's what I'm asking.
It's up to you. I don't think you won't bother me here.
Thanks for that input. Okay, so we had a project that had a difficult relationship between the master naturalist working there and the leadership of the site. And through a couple changes, we were able to really get that project back on track, and now it's one of the best projects we have working right now. One other suggestion is the use of a log. This isn't mandated by the board. It's not mandated by anybody at this point, but it can be useful in communicating information both to your host organization and members of the crew that you work with. You know, the size and complexity of your log will depend a lot on what activities you're doing on the site. It's always good to have pictures. It'd also be great to store them in a location that's acceptable for future work or accessible for future participants. You know, we're not all going to be in our same roles forever. So if you would like to leave a history of your project, this is a good way to do it. Another best practice is to provide input to your chapter newsletter, your website news page, and both the volunteer and AT calendars. And last one you've heard before tonight too, it's also very important to put your hours in. One other bit of information I'd like to pass on. We last year we had a couple requests, both from within chapter members and from organizations that were outside of our 10-county area to have Master Naturals work there. So we were able to go through a process and essentially now we are able to approve projects that are in the Edwards Plateau ecoregion. And that's that raises the opportunities, projects that we could work to quite a bit if you know of some that are in these counties that are listed here. The key is that they are in the Edwards Plateau ecoregion. Currently, we have a project working and approved and working in Travis and Val Verde counties. Periodically, we do have open leadership positions. For those of you that are interested and may have done some of this type of work in the past, both project leader positions at site locations, we have a couple of those open now. And as Jeff was mentioning earlier, at the turn of the year, we'll have some fresh faces ready for the board also. So if you've got that kind of experience and interest, we'd love to have you stepped up. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the way here. We're going to get the project leaders coming down. Any questions or comments before we get the first group down? Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, sorry. The question was why it's important to put your hours in and how it benefits Texas Parks and Wildlife. And there is some equation there. It's escaping me at the moment, but.
So Texas Parks and Wildlife gets federal funding based on volunteer hours. And they do audit the hours. That's why the VMS system, we've got a few administrators who check our submissions to kind of make sure that they will pass audit and get credited to help fund our Texas Parks and Wildlife organization. Last year, they valued the hours at like $23 an hour. So it is helping to get some money into Texas. The other thing is a lot of our organizations, our host organizations, also benefit from knowing how many hours their volunteers are doing. It might help them in grant requests and things like that. So it's also important for the organizations they're volunteering for. Good question. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Oops, let me do this one slide. So this is the group we have lined up for you for the rest of the evening. A message from the Bandera Natural Museum of Art and History. Bandera Natural History and Art Museum Pollinator Garden, the Colonel Shriner Park Pollinator Garden team. Katie's going to cover Texas Outdoor Women's Network in Berg City, Kerrville. Deb will be back up to touch on Pedernales River Analysis Alliance and the Texas Water Specialist again. Jeff's going to cover a couple down in Bernie, and I'll close it out with some bird survey opportunities. And we do have one not on the list. Ray Rayford is here to talk about a brand new project that we just got to do. Okay, I do want to thank you again, or maybe I'm thanking you initially. and worse for the volunteer work you do, but especially for the project leaders, these people are the all-stars of our TMN world. They are really the glue that holds these projects together. They're very organized, they get work done. They work a step above the normal volunteer, and I'm very, very appreciative to work with those that I've developed a relationship with, and looking forward to meeting the others. Janice wanted to be here tonight. She couldn't be here, but she's got a very poignant words, I think. If you saw my email this morning, there's probably 6 or 7, 8 projects that need some help. Those I get that input from project leaders asking for help, asking for volunteers. So when the request comes, they really, really need you, and they can't do it without you. So please, please volunteer when the pleas for work come through. There's the pollinator garden team, and that's normally there are 3 or 4 of them, so they got a full complement that day. There's some of the work they do. Garden's looking pretty good there. Okay, any questions about what I've covered? Okay. All right, Jenny, Sarah, you guys are up.
It has to touch my chin for you to hear me? Yes. Okay. How do I advance it to the next slide? Arrows, okay. So Jenny and I are here from Kerrville Shriner Park. That's right here in Kerrville. We're over like by Brew Dogs next to the river, near the VA. And I run the gardening part, and Ginny is in the butterfly part. So,
I'm sorry, who's the I?
I am Sarah Stewart,
Okay, thank you.
and I am the leader for the garden maintenance. I'm currently taking the class, and my group meets Thursday mornings right here in Kerrville to do garden maintenance. And I'll let Ginny say her part.
Hi there. And I lead the Monarch Larval Monitoring Project. Thank you. And our group meets at Fridays. Right now it's 9 o'clock. And Sarah and I have a table out there with sign-up sheets if you're interested in getting our emails. Okay. Well, the history, the garden was designed and installed in 2000 by Friends of the Kerrville Shriner State Park. In 2004, the park was transferred to the city of Kerrville, and the Hill Country Texas Master Naturalist subsequently took over the activities in the garden. The vegetation includes almost entirely of Hill Country native plants, including trees, shrubs, annuals, and perennials. Both nectar and larval plants have been donated by Texas Master Naturalists, Native Plant Society of Texas, and local nurseries and private citizens. In addition to the butterfly population, one can expect to see a variety of birds, including hummingbirds, being drawn to the habitat. Okay, Sarah? Okay, I want to hear you.
Who are the pollinators? So you guys have probably seen a slide similar to this in a lot of presentations for Texas Master Naturalists. Can anybody name anything that's not on this list? Yeah, mosquitoes, yeah, ants, lizards can be pollinators. Actually, Wasps are great. And we see all of these things right here in the Kerrville Shriner Garden. It's fantastic. It's really great. You're there early in the morning. You see all these little guys doing their pollinator thing, just like described in the books. So with the garden maintenance, it's pretty obvious. We do weeding, trimming, watering, of course, it's Texas, planting, which is everybody's favorite part. And then surface prep is like mulching, topping up the soil, loosening things up. This is the what. So the next thing is the so what. So fellowship. Ginny DeWolf was my first friend. I was brand new to Kerrville and I was on a treadmill and she comes up and she says, "Hey, I heard that you're new to town. I have a butterfly project. Would you like to come on Friday?" And she literally became my first friend here in Kerrville. And it just grew from there. Here I am, I'm taking the class. I've met this great group of people. So fellowship is an awesome part of what we do. Right here in Kerrville, you meet your friends, your neighbors. We've got people who have PhDs in our group. They're just such an incredible group of people. They're so knowledgeable. And, you know, some people are bird people, some people are butterfly people. We've got some insect people, and they all come together and you share that knowledge, which is really cool. Then outreach, we get the opportunity to guide people through the garden. So when people come along, we get to show them things they wouldn't otherwise notice. We get to teach them things they may not have known. Once upon a time, the garden used to be a great spot. They'd bring a lot of school groups through, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, that sort of thing. Then my next one I listed is community, because just as we are a community, this also connects us back to our community here in Kirk County at large. They get a ton of visitors. That park is, I think, what, 500 acres? Maybe it's thousands of acres. It's huge. And they get visitors from all over the country. So you get to really form this community that we have here. You get to branch out and connect with other people in the community, which is really cool. And then speaking of connection, ecology is another so what of why do we have a pollinator garden? Well, pollinators are incredibly important, as we all know. And particularly during the drought, we had what we call an oasis effect. A lot of things that you couldn't observe anywhere else going on, they were drawn to that pollinator garden. And we just kind of became this oasis for all of those wonderful things and all of those cool nature observations right here in Kerrville. And we have Mildred here tonight. She's a fantastic photographer. We also had a plant swap where we had people come, a lot of artists, and they were capturing things that you couldn't see anywhere else because we became that oasis. Then this is monarchs.
Okay, the MLMP was developed in 1997 by researchers at the University of Minnesota to collect long-term data on larval monitoring populations in milkweed habitat. The program was maintained under the UW Monarch Lab through 2018 and is now jointly led by the University of Wisconsin, Madison Arboretum, and Monarch Joint Venture. The project focuses on engaging community scientist volunteers to collect information on monarch distribution and abundance during the breeding season in North America. The overarching goal of the MLMP is to better understand how and why populations of breeding monarchs change over time. In 2007, a group of master naturalists began collecting data at the garden for the MLMP, and that's when I started. Monarchs have only one host plant, milkweed. The MLMP has about a third of the garden in our data collection area. Each week we examine the milkweed in our area to look out for monarch eggs and caterpillars. We collect information on the number of monarch eggs, caterpillars, and adults, and this data is reported to the MLMP website. Other things we do are we do, excuse me, we do, nectar plant survey. I think, yeah. It used to be when we started, it was only 5 nectar plants. The large, most of the 5 major nectar plants, and now we do the whole thing. Yeah, sometimes. And then, we also, and I don't know when we started, but we now also go around and keep a record of the butterflies that we see. Right, not just monarchs, and so we go around and people, like Sarah goes around, oh, there's a, and so I keep the data, I'm a statistician. I'm not a butterfly person or a plant person, but I'm good at keeping data, so that's. Oh, and Thursday, Mildred saw a monarch in the park and took a photo. And passed it around to a few of us. And, once a week I mail out my report, what we found on Friday. I also include forward an email from Mildred that has the photos of plants and animals, of critters. Well, my email doesn't get any accolades, but Mildred's, everybody says, oh, I really like those. We even have somebody who moved out of state, who just wanted Mildred's email. So and I said, I can't keep you off one of those sitting anyhow. So, what I have, and we have a table outside. I have a brochure, voila, like this, that, we had it distributed in, thank you, distributed at Riverside Nature Center. And we now at Riverside Nature Center have a, new handout. So, this is a more current one. We'll be in the break room after the meeting. And Sarah has a sign-up sheet for the Pollinator Project brochure, or part of a garden brochure. And so just check off if you want that. She had trouble getting people who she photocopied.
Technical difficulty.
Anyhow, so, and then, we do have the sign-up sheet. And I brought a poster on the life cycle of monarch butterflies. It will also be in the break room. And one last point, Kerrville Shriner Park does not charge admission fees for those who volunteer at the garden. And so when you go in the park, stop at the office and tell the staff you're a volunteer.
And it's free.
Yeah. Let's see, so now questions, these are Mildred's photos. Isn't that neat?
Beautiful.
Yeah,
So, what time are the volunteers showing up? And
9 o'clock at Kerrville Shriner Park, which is on Fridays. And then we're down, Bandera Highway. It's after you go over, 534, that's the loop. And then you go to the left, you stop at the gate, there's a gate and an office, and you ask, you just point out that you're a volunteer. And Thursday.
Thursday, the garden folks are there around 8:30 a.m. Some folks are there at 7:30 a.m. If you're John, you're there probably even earlier. And then other folks come in a little later. It's really kind of casual. Everybody comes and goes. If you've got 15-20 minutes to put in, that's awesome. If you want to hang out for an hour, there's always something to do. So Thursdays, 8:30-ish.
And then we change on Fridays when the weather gets a little cooler, but right now we're 9 o'clock. Thank you.
I'm gonna take that information about the Kerrville Shriner Park. It used to be a state park. Yeah, it was a state park until they, what you were saying, when they changed it, give it to the city.
Yes, it belongs to Kerrville now, so
Yes.
it's up to us.
Yes.
Oh, and I think it was 2007, so it's like, oh, the other thing is there's 6.
Microphone.
Before he got us in.
Yeah.
Sorry. It was 2000 and 7, and I think it became owned by the city.
But the
The other thing is Hill Country, the Monarch Law Monitoring Project, we have 6 of them on our chapter. It's also, I mentioned to somebody else, you can do this in your own garden, in your own yard. So you don't have to join a group, you know. But the training usually happens in the spring at Kerr Wildlife Management Area. Gracie does that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great job. You did all right. 2 projects, yeah.
Okay, the Texas Outdoors Women's Network is a project in Parks and Wildlife. And we've had our chapter for about 3 years. There's 10 chapters. Currently, we have 420 women on the Facebook group, of which 60 to 80 show up every month for different things. We have speaker meetings, mostly on nature. These are not naturalists. The whole point of the group is because nationwide, women are underrepresented at outdoor parks. Women don't go out by themselves as much as men do to do stuff in the parks or fish or whatever. So most of our members have moved here recently. They might be widowed, or they might just have a husband like mine who'd rather stay in his recliner and do Sudoku. So we're volunteer run. We've done hiking, camping, kayaking, biking, archery, speed walking. It's all, I solicit people that are to be leaders or speakers, and there's no fees for the people to join. This is one of our activities. We did kayaking out in Medina River recently. And volunteers for this project can schedule or be speakers at meetings, schedule and or lead nature hikes. We go to botanical gardens and caves and things like that, and managing communication with membership. A lot of the women that come are just astounded when they find out about the Hill Country because they haven't been here long, or they just haven't gotten out much. So I have a sign-up sheet in the other room. We're always looking for people to do these things. And you don't get volunteer hours for kayaking in the river, but you do have a lot of fun. So that's the Outdoor Women's Network. I have a sign-up sheet out there, and I'm going to be at the Nature Center all tomorrow afternoon to talk to anybody about either of these projects. Katie Capel is my name. I'm the class of 2017. Bird City Kerrville is another Parks and Wildlife joint project with Texas Audubon. And there are 10 cities in the state that have been certified. We put in our application after working for 18 months on different activities, some of which are in here. 25 local groups belong to this organization, and we've gotten resolutions from the city council and the county commissioners to support the idea of improving the Kerrville area for birds and subsequently also for people, because most of these activities are good for everybody. We've had lots of the partners like the Nature Center, UGRA, Wild Birds Unlimited have provided lots of workshops. We were supposed to have 1 pollinator garden. There were 8 in the Kerrville area. And we've had all these bird surveys and bird walks, which are partly master naturalist generated and some that are just from other ways. We've been working on amenities. There's a new 2 miles of the trail over by the Veterans Hospital. This is the first bird blind that's at Kerrville Shriner. You stand on this sidewalk on West Main and you can look into the bird blind. He's going to do another one on Shriner University. They're also planning to high fence some of that area over by the observatory, so there could be a bird sanctuary without deer eating all the understory up. Native plants, we came up with a recommended plant list thanks to Kathy Loring, I think is here. Yay, Kathy. And it's on the city website and it's on the Riverside Nature Center website. Bird City wants you to have a native plant sale every year. Well, we've had 2 every year for 15 years, I think, here. And educate the public about invasive plants. Promoting cats indoors programs and buildings that or birds are less likely to run into. Promoting Lights Out Texas. So we're now moving into the 2nd year, and Parks and Rec have agreed to work with us to improve the habitats of the city parks, which needs to happen. They have too many deer. We're having a community-wide planting event on November 2nd. All the city local garden clubs have joined into this, and the master gardeners are going to be putting native plants along the front of the Youth Event Center. We also are going to put more native plants along the Veterans Pathway that they just built, and on the west side of the courthouse, which is a master naturalist effort under Pam Leinhardt. And the bird blind is the big one we're working on right now. We picked a spot, and Kathy and her husband are going to head up the construction. We've got the plans and we're raising the money. We put in some grant applications and we've had donations. And I'm taking donations from anyone that would like to contribute to help build that bird blind, but then hopefully some others too, because Shriner, Dr. Distel would like to have some bird blinds all over the whole county for birding. The birders that come in and birders that live here too. And then we're going to work with Parks Department to reduce mowing, to have a mowing plan that will take into account breeding birds instead of just cutting everything down. We've talked to some people at Los Rincones Preserve about possibly having that as a bird sanctuary and a place we could have bird walks. We want to do some education to the people that buy houses at Lennar and Habitat about planting native plants instead of ligustrum or whatever, And we'd like to educate people to try to do something besides Bermuda and St. Augustine lawns for lots of reasons. But all of these are part of this Bird City plan, which is really kind of cool. So we have a sign-up sheet out there too, and if anybody would like to learn more about it, again, I'm glad to talk to you. This is Dr. Ben Skipper, who was out near Odessa doing a bird banding. And I just thought that was a great picture. I had a painted bunting that they got a hold of and banded. And this is we have a Facebook page on the Convention and Tourist Bureau website, which is the one on top, the second one, then there's Bird City Kerrville Facebook page. So that's it. Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned that they're going to be doing the work on the bird blinds. Do you need volunteers to help with hammering?
Yes, we will. And right now we don't have a date. The question was, will we need volunteers hammering? Yes, we will. This is going to be 8 by 12 feet. It's not fancy. If you want an idea what it would be like, it's almost exactly like the ones out at South Llano. They don't have plumbing, they don't have electricity. But yes, there's plenty of work to be done. And we're hoping that this is only going to be the first one. I have a place picked out in Flat Rock Park for one. And so, any other questions?
Deb, back again. We'll get you signed up for January again.
Hi, I'm Deb Youngblood. I'm Deb Youngblood with Pertinalis River Alliance. You know, I just say that so many times, over and over and over again. I can't hardly introduce myself unless I say that. So there. So a number of years back, some of us in Fredericksburg came together to figure out what we could do about all of the development that was going on. And we found out real quick, there's not a whole lot we can do. However, there are some things that we do. And it was not long before we actually got organized and working hard. So let me just talk to you a little bit about what we do. Now, first of all, we protect both the ground and the surface water in the Pertinalis River watershed from the threat of overdevelopment, pollution, and depletion. So we also recognize that there is a connection between surface water and groundwater. You know, everybody likes to think sometimes that it's all separate, but you know, when it rains, our river fills up. And then after that, everybody says, yay, and they want to water their lawns and the river goes down. Seriously, there is a very huge connection between surface water and groundwater. So to protect both, we promote water conservation and education. We provide that education to any organization that will have us in the door. And we get all of our information from the Underground Water District. So we are also responsible, we hope to support responsible development. First thing is reducing density. We have several developments in Gillespie County where the lot size is 1/10 of an acre. And that's not healthy. They mostly pave a good portion of that 1/10 of an acre. And then they try to build a small house or put a tiny home on that 1/10 of an acre. Permeable surfaces are pretty much ignored by the groups that have these 1/10 of an acre lots. So there's a lot we try to work with, but some developers don't really care. They have a purpose, and that's to make money. And some of them are very good at it. So we have to find a way to talk with them, to help them understand what needs to happen. We're successful sometimes and sometimes not. We also are concerned about what wastewater reuse. So many developments come in and all they really want to do is release their wastewater into the river. Oh, we want no discharges into the river, 0 discharges. And so we also support native plants because, again, when these developers come in, they usually scrape the land clean, honest to goodness, right down to the caliche. And then they come back and they put sod down on top of that. Well, we have to try to educate them on how that's not healthy for the environment. And we also support Night Skies. Gillespie County and Fredericksburg are both Night Skies certified, but you couldn't tell it from the way some of those folks turn their lights on at night. So we do go and talk with people about turning their lights on. We are also concerned about, the protection of endangered species in the river. Back on about June the 4th, I think it was, the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife declared the Texas fat mucket in the Pertinalis River as an endangered species. What is it? It's a freshwater mussel. But I just love that name, fat mucket. So, yeah, I knew I'd have to explain it, but hey, I liked it. And then there's also a little salamander that's a little bit further downstream called the Pertinalis River Springs salamander. That little guy's not declared endangered yet, but he's on the circuit. He's gonna get there. So we talk about both of those little guys. We also have some water sampling that goes on. Now, here's a curious thing about Pertinalis River. We have no river authority. And people say, but you have LCRA. And the answer is no, we don't. The LCRA only has legal jurisdiction over water sampling. That's it. At least for Gillespie County. I know that LCRA around in Highland Lakes and other places acts as basically a river authority for a lot of different counties, but not for Gillespie County and not for Mason County. So we often send people for water sampling training to the Meadows. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but that's in San Marcos. And they provide water sampling training usually about once a month, and it's good training. And it's not, they don't charge anything. So you can sign up online and just go. It's great. We also encourage roadside cleanups. You know, whatever trash there is, it's gonna, if it's thrown out that car window or out the back of somebody's truck, it's gonna get down to the river eventually. May take a while, but it'll get there. So we try to encourage roadside cleanups as well. Okay, that's a lot. But you know, we started very simply with a group of people who were concerned and interested, and we didn't know what to do. We turned to both the Hill Country Alliance and the Greater Edwards Aquifer for help. And the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance has been marvelous. They are actually our fiduciary agent. They have training. They also provide lots of advice. And when we got the first wastewater applications, discharge applications that we wanted to actually inform the public about, they sent us people to help us train the citizens of Gillespie County on how to respond to those wastewater discharge permits. Hill Country Alliance is marvelous. They've kind of taken us under their wing, and they teach us, they talk to us. They're having a leadership summit on Thursday. And of course, the first thing they ask is, are you coming? It's wonderful. We also connected with our underground water district, and those guys are awesome. They really know how to talk to us when we say, all this science is not something I'm familiar with. Can you explain that in plain language? And they do. They're wonderful. And so you will also find that when you look at our water conservation PowerPoint, it's loaded with their graphs. So we enjoy a good relationship with them. But now we're trying to expand what we do. Like any of us has time for that, but it's necessary. Pick it up, he says. Okay. I'm working on it. So the Pinellas River Alliance is primarily focused on Gillespie County. So when we got to talking to folks downstream, though, we found other organizations. They're all activist groups and they're all interested in saving the Pinellas River. And you can see the list of them here. There's 6 of us, 6 activist, citizen-led activist groups that are simply working to save the river. So we asked the question, what would happen if we all come together and work together? And we will be meeting in October, mid-October, to ask that question and see if we can answer it. So hopefully we can get a unified group that can actually say the same thing all the way across the board. We want no wastewater discharges into the Pinellas River. So pretty important. There's one of my favorite pictures. And this is just about TCEQ. And we also interface with the folks at TCEQ. We teach people about what they can do or need to do when somebody builds a dam or somebody decides that they want to pump water from the Pinellas River, which you can't just do. And some people actually have tried dredging. So the game warden is our friend on that because the game warden can get through that fence faster than we can. And he will talk to those folks and shoo them off. And he's done it. So we appreciate them as well. And of course, TCEQ is who we work with when we respond to applications for effluent or wastewater discharge permits. Okay. Whew. Shift gears real fast. Really fast. See, I could do this all night. Okay, so now here's the thing. Texas Water Specialists is all about developing a core of well-informed volunteer specialists who provide outreach, education, service, and dedicated to the beneficial management of aquatic resources and aquatic habitats. Blah, blah. Okay. It takes 8 hours of AT that is certified for Texas Water Specialists. And that's all it takes for you to get qualified. Or you can take the course that I teach, which I'll be starting a class in late January, and it will run for 2 months. And it's not hard. You meet every other week. I give you all the answers to the quizzes. It's not a big deal, but we have a good time. And then every year you need to do 10 hours of service. And the kinds of service they're all the things that we do. Making bioswales, making berms and swales, making cisterns and rain gardens and xeriscaping and the list just goes on here. For those folks out there in Edwards and Real who have no water, or at least it seems like they don't, I know there's caves out there, and you know what? Caves are important. So all of these kinds of things are available to Texas Water Specialists to work on or work in. And here's the last quick note on this. Texas Water Specialist is, close your ears. Texas Water Specialist is not a project. It's a specialization. It's all about learning. So just keep that in mind. Oh, yeah, you can get volunteer hours for it. Absolutely. You can get ATE hours for it. Yeah, but it's a specialization. Somebody said to me, but I took the class and I don't know what I didn't know, basically. And the class is wonderful. We go through the full curriculum, and I'll one little anecdote. Back in May, I think it was. I took off to Tennessee, Bill and I did. And on the way back, we were getting really soggy and we knew we needed to find a place to park it for the night. We had our little bitty RV with us. And I found a park in southeast Arkansas. And we decided that we'd go there. It was an older park. And we get there and we find out that it is the largest oxbow lake in North America. And it's infested with alligators. But it was really cool. I mean, we would not have known the significance of an oxbow lake had we not taken the class. So we just felt like heroes just because we knew. So the class is a great class and I encourage you to step up and take it. And I'm gonna give this back.
Okay. Yeah.
My high school coach used to call me a fat bucket, so. Now I know. Okay, I'm gonna go through this really quick. This is the project, I'm the new project lead for this. This is Bernie City Campus Natural Area. It's located right behind Bernie City Hall, 13 acres, and it is one that's supported by Master Naturalist, the City of Bernie, and NIPSOP. If you're familiar with Bernie City Hall right on Main Street, it's right behind that. And so this is a picture from 60 years ago, and then today. So the biggest problem, of course, is the cedar forest and the ligustrum forest. So ligustrum is, the birds eat the seeds and they fly and land on the fence lines and poop out seeds. And then you can see the ligustrum, that's probably fence lines way back then, 60 years ago, the start of the ligustrum forest. And you can see now what it looks like today. So part of the project is just getting rid of invasives and opening it back up. And some of the key features is there's an old railroad running through Bernie. It's now the old number 9 walking trail. That's the line you can see cutting across. You can see where the library is, where this property is that we'll be working on. Work has just started last year with some clearing right behind the library, getting rid of some of the ligustrum. There's an intermittent creek. It's got a little riparian area, so that should be fun to play with. And then at the bottom of this map, there's a boutique hotel. It's not a hotel yet, but it's an old building that's bought to do that. And so it's going to connect to the hotel property as well. And so we've removed invasive trees already. There's already a milkweed plot that was planted there last year. And some grasses and native trees were planted along the creek, and as well as about 50 trees that got fenced in because there are a lot of deer. As Kathy can attest to, she lives right next to this project, right? So do the deer come into your yard?
Well, our backyard's fenced, so that part's safe. But there's some in the neighborhood.
Yeah, every time I go out there.
But the city property is
just,
it's infested with.
it's infested, that's right. Yeah. And some of the short-term plans, still lots of invasives, Chinese tallow, vitex, and of course, ligustrum and cedar to get rid of. Start to document the flora, expand the trails, which we started last year. There's monthly bird surveys going on already. And not exactly sure what the final vision looks like, but certainly tying into these trails and possibly that triangle that you see at the top. If you go about another half mile to the north, it connects up to another city park that's getting ready to be built. And so it'd be great to have that connected. So a really nice project. So I'm planning some work days, Wednesdays, 8:30 to 11, every other Wednesday, starting October 9th. October 9th, I'm not, my plan isn't put together exactly yet, but it's mainly gonna be starting to cut out some of these trees before they start growing seeds. And the city will have a big part in some of the projects that they will be doing. They can bring in some heavy machinery and do some things that we can't. So still need to coordinate with the city, but they're, very much on board to improve this property. So just call me if you want to help out on this. Second project I want to talk to you about, Cibolo Center for Conservation, the Cibolo Nature Center. It's really a crown jewel sitting in the middle of Bernie. It's got a ton of opportunity and things to do for a volunteer, for anybody who loves nature, splash in the creek. Upcoming soon, there's a Wildlife Field Research Week, starting in a couple of weeks. If you want to help out, you have to go online and to their website, cibolo.org, and look for the opportunities. It'll show you what's still open because they have a count. It's like, okay, I need 10 people for the ant survey. And once they reach that, then it's going to show there's not available. I looked today, a lot of the things were full already, but there were still a few openings. And certainly there's one opening there that you can sign up for. It's just kind of a backup. So if you're available and they have somebody that signed up and can't make it, they'll plug you in. Some of the other ongoing activities is teaching gardens, hikes. We've got, I think last year we had 38 different members who volunteered there and put in over 1,100 hours at Cibolo. And I know that the number is actually quite a bit higher than that, but they're one of our top 10 for the chapter each year. And you can, this is their calendar. So go online to their website and you can sign up for different events. You can see they've got things going on all the time. And we're going to, we do have some of this stuff populated on our own website, on our calendar, and we'll try to do a better job of getting more of the opportunities out there. So they had a little bit of a turnover in some of their staff, and so we're working with the new volunteer coordinator. We'll get more information out there. I think that is it. Okay, questions? No questions? Thank you.
Okay, we're about out of time. Ray, do you want to come down, just take a couple minutes and introduce yourself and your project, and then we'll call it a night.
I'm a new project. My name is Ray Rayford. I literally got approved, not today, but close. I have 2 slides. One, here's my main one. We're gonna be Texas Master, I'm a Texas Master Gardener as well as a Texas Master Naturalist, so I wear a lot of different hats. The kids I'm working with currently are working on their junior master gardening, and we'll be done with that by January, hopefully. This one is wildlife gardener, and this is why I'm looking for help for the Texas Master Naturalist. I've got over 45 lessons. I've gone through and picked about 14 that I'm going to try and get the kids certified in the spring. Some of the areas I'm looking for, and really I just need you and a group would be great. We meet Mondays over at the Kerr Extension office from 5 to 6:30-ish. I've got anywhere from, tonight we had 15 kids because we was in the garden this evening. But last week I had 24. So 15 to 25 kids on a regular basis that are coming in. Some areas I'm looking for is under essential elements, which is going to be basically we've got a pollinator garden that's in progress. We've got the Texas Master Naturalist pollinator team came out there, gave us some great ideas. There was a little bit of flooding in the building, so we've kind of hung off from it, but I've got it all solarized and we're going to get the hardscape in hopefully in November. And then I'm gonna need help in the spring with the kids, just kind of helping them get it all together. But they need to know about where that animals are gonna need shelter, they're gonna need, a place to live, they're gonna need water. We're trying to teach them all that. I need people to come in and help make lizard lounges, tote boats. I've got some people coming in and talking about bats already that volunteer. I also need a butterfly. I've talked to a couple people here tonight. Birds, I need people to help with, building a water, some sort of recycled materials we're looking at putting in there. So really, I just need an hour, hour and a half from a group to come in and teach lessons that are already designed that I will hand over to you. And if you want to modify it, as long as you're reaching the objective, which I have written down, we're good to go. The kids are excited, they're enthusiastic. I have a bunch of parents that come in also. They're as enthusiastic as the kids, and they are journaling every week. They are going home and doing projects and telling me what they've done when they come back in. So it's a great group of kids to work with. I just need some volunteers so they don't hear just from me alone. Hearing a lot of different people, we'll hit a lot of different avenues. So again, I've got a handout if you're interested. And slide number 2, if you want to look at the book, come on down, I'll help you, I'll be here for a little while afterwards. I just need some volunteers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for coming out. Sorry we went over a little bit. Any final questions or comments? Okay, have a good week.